everyone! Today I just want to talk about what I've learned over the past 4 years to help me succeed in college, and maybe this will work for you, maybe this won't, but I'm doing this to enter the ISEP Academic Integrity Contest, and so hopefully this wins me $350. The first tip I have is to read the textbook, and I know it seems obvious, but I feel like reading the textbook is one of the most helpful things, and so these are just some of the textbooks that I have. I'm kind of spoiled with reading. I only like reading hard copies of the textbook. I don't like reading online PDFs, and so every time a new quarter starts I have to look for the actual book and either rent it or buy it. This box here is filled with notebooks. As I read, I always take notes, and so it just helps me remember. So the way I study is I recite to myself, and so I get my notes. So a lot of times I do like to recreate my study guide, which I rewrite the notes on a separate sheet of paper or flashcards, and writing it down helps me remember, but reciting it again really helps me retain the information. And so I just kind of try to teach it to myself. And if you heard me, it sounds like I'm having a conversation with someone, but it's just with myself. After writing it down, when I read it, I can memorize the way I wrote it, like the fonts that I use, the colors that I used, where it was on that certain piece of paper. It really helps with retaining the information. The next tip I have is to go to class and go to the discussions, even if they're not mandatory. And so just for me, it's something that I feel really helps me stay on task, and I feel like if I were to even skip one class, I would just be way behind and that would stress me out. In my 4 years of college, I've skipped class 4 times. The first time in first year was to go to the Ellen show, and so that was on the last day of sociology class, but I heard that all he did was say bye to us, so I didn't really miss anything. The second one was to go to my sister's graduation. I had to skip one discussion. I really didn't want to, but I thought, okay, I should probably go to see my sister graduate. Third was to go to a research conference in Texas. I actually skipped 3 classes, but luckily it was week 1 and I had my friends Fernanda send me the notes, thank you. And then one time during my 3rd year, I decided to skip an Earth System Science discussion because she lets us skip 2, but it was my most rebellious day. I just felt like, I kind of don't want to go today. And so that was the only time, but it felt super weird. I remember walking through the school thinking, okay, I should have probably went. My kind of philosophy is that even if you feel a little bit more confident about the subject, or even if you learn one thing, then it was worth going to that class or going to that discussion. That's what kind of keeps me going. Friend is calling. Hello? What was I saying? I forgot. But anyway, speaking of friends calling, so another tip I have is when you learn something and if you're really excited about it, you should share it with your family and your friends because maybe it's interesting to them too. I remember my very first quarter of college, I was taking my first intro to psychology class, and I was so fascinated by the different things I was learning. I remember distinctly walking out of class one day and texting my sister, like, hey Jeff, I just learned in class today that I'm biologically inferior to you because I'm the younger sibling, and that my hip to waist ratio is not optimal. Throughout the years, I've been calling my friends, telling them, hey, you know what I learned in class today about love? Or do you know what I learned about motivation? In our group chats, I just go, today's topic, and just start rambling. And I find it very interesting. It helps you learn, it helps you review, and it helps you stay excited about the stuff when you get to apply it to things in your life. And so when I'm learning, I'm always thinking about, like, this kind of goes with my friend's situation, or this goes with my life, or something like that, and it just makes you extra excited about what you're learning. Make to-do lists. Usually every Sunday night I'll make a to-do list that looks like this with the different days of the week and what I need to do each day, not just in terms of schoolwork, but work, meetings, clubs, meeting with people, eating, working out, stuff like that, just so I know exactly what I have to do each day. And this week was the only week in the entire year that I didn't make a to-do list. This was the index card I was supposed to write on, but it's blank. And this week has been so rough. I forgot 2 meetings for work. I really need those things to keep me in check, and maybe you do too. And so keeping yourself in check with planners, with to-do lists can really help you just stay on task. At the beginning of each quarter, I look at all my syllabi, and then I start marking down the chapters I need to read each week and the exam dates, when the assignments are due, just so I know how to map my quarter out and how I can expect to work from week to week. The next tip I have is to take good notes in class during lecture. I've realized that a lot of professors, their slides are kind of easy to understand if you're there, but if you're not and you just read over the slides, I wouldn't know what's going on. And maybe that's because I am someone that needs really step-by-step and a big thorough explanation. I find that the professors say stuff that is so important and they don't put it on their slides. Like, they say it after they read the bullet point. I like writing with paper and pencil, but my biggest pet peeve is when professors go too fast and you're just trying to write and then they change the slide and then your bullet point is half complete and you move on to the next one. And so when that happens, I get really annoyed, but then I just take out my laptop and I start to type notes. I've done this parentheses method where I type what they put and then in the parentheses I type what they say, the explanation of it afterward. And then if I need to re-summarize what they said or what I think this point is or include my own example, I put another parentheses. And so sometimes I have the same information repeated 3 times just so that when I'm studying and reciting it to myself, I can recite the bullet point that's on the slide and then their explanation and then my recap of it. And so it's a really good way for me to summarize the information in my own words so I could better understand it. Another tip I have is to be early. It's something that I haven't always done. I really try to, and I've gotten a lot better since fall quarter after watching this President Obama's video about him being early and how when you're early, the possibilities are endless. And it's really true, like even being 5 minutes early to class makes a big difference because you're not sweating, your calves are not burning from power walking through campus, you're not rushing to make the bus, you're not being really sad when 3 buses in a row leave you because they're too full. You're able to relax and be calm and not shuffle through the aisles. And when you're early too, you just get to walk on the way to school, enjoy the weather, maybe take a few selfies in the morning. I always try to wake up at least an hour, 30 minutes before my class. Right now, my class is at 11. I think I need to be up by 9. I always go on my phone for a while when I first wake up before I get out of bed. And so I allot maybe 15 minutes for myself to do that, right? And so if I need to get up at 9, I set my first alarm at 8:45, the next one at 8:54, and then 9:03. 9:03 is when I really need to get my butt out of bed. The thing I have to say, so when you go to class, it's not just about going to class, it's about staying focused in class and staying awake. There's been a couple times where I take out my phone and I find myself just saying, okay, I'll just go on Instagram for a little bit, right? And I miss completely whatever the professor said. I cannot listen and do something, and so the moment I'm on my phone, I cannot take in anything that's going on. I found that when I put my phone in my backpack and refrain from touching it, I'm able to pay attention a lot better. And there's actually some classes where I found so interesting that I actually don't even want to touch my phone at all, and that's when you know a class is awesome. Dr. Tesha's class, when you're concentrated on what the professor's saying, that's when you get all that information that they give you that's not on the slides. I hope you all enjoyed this video. These are just my tips for how I've gone through my 4 years in college. They might not work for you, they might work for you, I don't know, but I just wanted to share them with you, and I wanted to promote academic integrity. Yay! ISEP. If you all have any tips that you want to share with me, feel free to let me know too, because I need to do better for my finals. I need to finish strong. So good luck to everybody on midterms, finals, graduation, life, everything. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.